Hi. Can you see? Okay, hopefully you can hear me. I'm using my phone to kind of hear the interaction so I know it's okay. So.
Once a week she takes that to a drum, the one she holds will help me cry.
Hi, Jules. I got first. Hee. Yes, you did. You did get first. Pretty quiet. That's why I got something to paint while I'm doing this. Look. Look what I got. That cool? I have no much to tell you on call later. I'm assuming so much. Okay. Look it. It's a book. It's a book. Sorry, I'm excited. 20 years, Jules. Look it. I only got the 2. I gotta order more, so. But I gotta. Problem is spelling. There's spelling errors and stuff, so I have to get that fixed. So I'm pretty excited. But, yeah. And I think I have an idea what you're talking about, so I'm kind of excited about that. You'll have to let me know. Not know much. Yeah. Are you on break? Today has been great for both of us, it seems. Also, how was thrifting? Thrifting was fun. They didn't have as much as I thought they would. I was kind of disappointed. I thought there'd be more like cooking stuff and toys and, it was mostly just clothes. So I got a few things. Today has been great. Oh, I read that already. Yeah. So it went okay. Me and Dad went out to eat, and I had breakfast at noon because I couldn't eat, and then I had blueberry cream cheese pie, which I'm not supposed to have, and within 2 hours I had a tummy ache. It was like, yep, I knew better. So Also, Jules, can you tell me, is the volume okay? Can you hear me all right? Live it up, eat the cheesecake when you want. I want to. The problem is it doesn't like me. Volume sounds good. Okay, that's good. Dad was I was telling Dad I missed you so much, and he's like, well, just go. And I'm like, I don't have the income right now to go see her. And you know why I don't have the income to go see you, because I had to pay to get Grandma's book done next. So it's like, but I'll get up there. I'd like to stay a few days. I miss you, baby. Volume something. Okay. Jules, is this the butterfly you got me? I can't remember if it was Jenna or you. Either way, I'm painting it into a monarch. Miss you too. Not as much as I miss you. I can't remember either. Oh boy. Also, my doctor's appointment went okay. I have my white blood cell count is off again, and what was the other thing? I think she said my TSH was up and my cholesterol was up, so they're kind of like looking into it. But I'm supposed to get my thyroid tested again, because when she did a physical and felt my neck, she said I think she said it was my right side was swollen in here, and she wants to get more information. Hi, Jen. How are you? Nice to see you. So anyway, we'll see what happens. I don't know when my therapist has got that appointment scheduled, so we'll see how it goes. But I'm all right. How are you? Excited. Very excited. I finally got my book of for 20 years I've been writing this book, and I was really excited to share it online. Believe it or not, when I first started out, I had barely any memory, and I was only about 13, 14 years old, and I was told, because I couldn't speak, my counselor at that time said, write it, and it was 10 pages of what I could remember that had happened to me. And so this went from this to this in 2014, which was just papers folded into a book, to finally having a book. So I'm really, really happy with it. It's very healing to have everything in book form for my children and my husband, and that way if something ever happens to me, they have it. So I was really emotional when I first got it in the mail. I bawled like 3 times, and I even was able to put the pictures in of everything. And so yeah, I would like to get an editor, because there are some spelling errors in here, and I'd like to get it published at some point. But Jules says that sounds really rough. I hope they can help with that. Also, I am on cloud 9, I swear. I can't wait till tonight when we chat and I find out what's going on. So it's good. We deserve this. We've been through enough, you and me. Jules is my daughter, and she's been through the ups and downs of life with me. So Jen says that's awesome. Thank you, Jen. Yeah, it's been a long road, and I'm excited to be able to heal and get better and better. I'll never fully be completely better, but as time goes on, I get better and better with adjusting to life and realizing that I don't have to fear anything anymore. So makes it easier. And I'm also painting at the same time. So that way I have something to do while I speak so I don't get too nervous and freak out. We are working our way up, aren't we? Yes, we are. And it's going to be a rough year for me off and on, but I haven't told many people, but my therapist is retiring, and I will have to figure out, do I deal with things the way I've been dealing with them on my own, or do I seek another therapist and continue on and try to manage? But it's going to be a hard hit for me because it just saved my life. So I have to figure that out, which is the other reason why I'm finishing the book. I feel that I have gotten to a point in my life where I don't know how much more healing I can do. I still have, complex post-traumatic stress disorder with dissociative identity disorder, but it's managed to a point where I can function, and I'm really happy with that. Gonna work on my own stuff in the background. Oh, you're not at work? Oh, you're off tonight. Sorry. I missed my baby. She's not a baby anymore. I know, I'm sorry. She's an adult, pays taxes. Nope, I had off tonight, which I am very happy about. That's awesome. If I didn't known that, I should have snuck up there. I miss you so much, babes. So, and also, Jen, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Artwork, mental health, whatever you need to. I'm pretty used to the hard questions. So. Also, Jules, you'll have to let me know when you're planning on doing some, what do you call it, art shows, because Dad said he'd help you with it. So, I have off tomorrow, too, but the girls invited me out for jazz crawl. So, party time tomorrow. I'm being a social butterfly. That's good. Don't get into too much trouble. Text mommy, make sure you're okay. Got it. I can just hear it. I'm an adult. But I care. I can't help it. Living it up like you guys did in the 90s. I didn't live it up. I messed up. If I could go back in time and change things, I so would. In a heartbeat. So many changes I'd make. Also, Jules, you're a little bit mentioned in the book, but I kept most of your story. I figure I basically put in the book. That's your chance to write your own book. If you do write a book, let me know, and I'll get it into book form. I have the company to do that now. All you gotta do is make it into a PDF file and send it in, and they can print it out. The only thing I haven't got down yet, which I have to do more research on, what I didn't like is the size. I didn't care for the size. It's I think 8.5 by 11, and I want to get it smaller, but somehow I have to edit the format. So I have to find some kind of site to edit it into 5.5 and 8.25 to make it into like a more of a standard size book. So that's my next goal, to try to find a company to do that, and that'll make it easier, but it's frustrating because I keep trying to get it into a more booky size, and I keep getting this big book size. So want to explain the crawl more. It's in Eclair. We got a party of 5+ people, and what they do is transform an entire street/town into like a New York style jazz event. Oh my. They have like 40+ singers all over I'm glad you're going. I'm glad I'm not going. You know how I am with crowds. Be careful, babes. I want you safe. Make sure you take all the precautionary things that we talk about. Mace, whatever else you need. And always never leave your drink anywhere or your purse. Mama loves you. And stay with your group. I can just hear my daughter. Mom, stop. I'm an adult. Courage to change, to rearrange. Give me light, Lord, I'm not deranged. You know, Jules, I'm surprised you haven't shared the song that I wrote for you yet. I was kind of hoping you would. Yeah, I know you aren't a crowd person. Also, with the big party of people we have, you should be fine. Also, we aren't going to drink too much at the event, but more so at one of the friends' houses. Just be careful. That's all I can say. Be very, very careful. If you need anything or if things get uncomfortable, just text me something and I'll call and act like there's an emergency or something and you have to leave. So, you know, mommy, I'm always there. I don't care if it's 2 a.m. After the event is over and then everyone is bringing a potluck of food. Oh, good, food. Yes, eat. And gonna video game into the rest of the night. Oh boy, that'll get interesting. You know what's weird? I'm like painting this orange. I have my contacts in. It is so hard to focus on the tiny detail with these things in because your eyes wearing contacts can't dilate in and out to focus well. I was like, this ain't good. I'm excited. I can tell. How's my grandbaby? My grand kitty baby? Is she being good or is she still terrorizing your toilet paper? She's doing good. Seems to like when I sit out in the living room with her now. We just vibe on the couch together. Well, that's good. I was hoping you'd work your way out to the living room more and hang out more. I know you like crawling into your little bedroom cave, but has begun to rise. Money broken doors, making merry-go-rounds. I thought for sure it'd be a little busier tonight, but it's really quiet again. And I guess Uncle took Grandma fishing. She wouldn't stop nagging him, so he's on fishing duty. Poor Duke. He was supposed to go with us today to the thrift sale thing, but he was too busy cleaning so he could get the boat out. It happens either way. I'm here to annoy you. I'm glad you're here to annoy me because I don't have anybody else to annoy me. So, and I was even willing to take on some hard questions tonight. So, but I'm glad that I decided to paint too because at least then I got something to do while I'm waiting to see if anybody drops in or not. Looks a little better. It's getting there. See? You'll never guess why I'm painting it this color. Even my chair in my bedroom have monarchs. See, my chair has butterflies too. Also, really now hoping for a second date after today. Didn't go good. I know you've been trying the dating thing. Just remember, you're not going to meet Mr. Right until you'll know. And I'd rather have somebody that really likes you and adores you than someone who just isn't really there. Oh, no, I mean, it was amazing. Oh, good. That's awesome. I'm so happy for you. Yay. Nice gentleman. Treats you like a princess. I hope so. Mommy wouldn't have it any other way. Hello, how are you? Hey friends, congrats on the book. Thank you. I'll show you now that I have somebody else to show. It's not like the size I wanted. It's kind of big, but I want to get more like 8.5 by 8.25. This one's 8 point something by 11, but I'm really happy with it. I was telling Jen before, when I started out, when I started in therapy at like age 13, 14, and I couldn't talk. I would freeze up and I'd disassociate. And this counselor wasn't used to this. She was a state certified counselor, and she couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And so she told me, she said, write it. Can you write it? And so the first time I started writing about my memories and what I had gone through, because I was going through court at the time with one of my abusers. And the deal was, write it out. And this is actually the original book that I had started with. It was only 10 pages long, and it was used in court. And it shocked me how I thought back then. Like, I really wasn't right in the head as a child, as a teen child, because I felt in here numerous times I mentioned how I felt bad I hurt him, and I felt bad that I let him do that. My mind was so and I haven't gone back to this in so long. And when I was looking at the new book I looked into this, and I was literally almost in tears thinking, well, what on earth? A child shouldn't think this way. A child shouldn't feel like something like that happening is their fault at that age. And then it went from that to this, which was a self-publishing company, and they basically made it into like a papers folded in half kind of book. And it was just with the PTSD stuff, because I didn't want to touch basis on the DID stuff at all. I was in so much denial. And so I ended up with this little tiny, I think it was like 70 pages, if that, And then I kept writing, and I kept writing, and I kept writing. So 20 years to make this happen. And I used a site called Blurb, and they print out books for you. You just have to have it in PDF form. So there is probably some spelling errors in here, but I was very happy with the results of it. You can basically add pictures, and and everybody knows I'm from Wisconsin, so there's some of that in here. It talks about where I've been, what was going on, from like age 2 on up. My memory of what I could recall, every time I'd have a memory in therapy, it was written down. I'd come home and I'd type it in so I could put this into a book, into book form. So really happy with that. Welcome to the party. Jules. Thank you, Jewel. Jules is my daughter. She's my oldest daughter, and she come on to be with me tonight. So you're welcome to say hi to her, and any questions you have, shoot them at me. Even the hard questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. This is very healing because right now I am going through some difficulties, especially health-wise and for mental health-wise. My therapist, who has been, how do I put this, somebody that has saved my life. I've worked with her for 11 years. She is finally retiring, and I'm still not fully integrated. So I have to figure out where I'm going to go from there. Do I be satisfied with how my healing is and use the tools that she has given me to continue on, or do I find a new therapist and try to establish another relationship? And I don't know where I'm going to go with that, but I wanted to get this book done for her and for me and for my family, because if something was to ever happen, it's here. It can be done, and my children can publish it if they want to, or whatever they decide to do. So I'm really excited about having it in book form. I even sat in bed all night just flipping pages. I was so ecstatic. Yay, I'm glad you're reaching your goals. You're an inspiration. I've been trying to do something similar myself. Oh, I hope you do. Don't be afraid to write. Don't be afraid to do whatever you can to, a lot of people just don't understand this disorder. And I have seen you in so many other creators' feeds, and I love what you write and what you do. And don't let people detour you from what you're doing, because the more honest people that have these disorders that come out and say, this is not how it is, it's not healing. I recently just seen even another creator that's quite popular, years and years. I mean, since 2022, they have not gotten better. They have not made progress. They have not talked about therapy, and to me, that's so dangerous. It's so unhealthy for other people that are trying to manage this disorder, and as you heal and the more you talk and the more you process, the more memory you'll get back. For me, that was difficult because I'd almost have the shakes. I get nosebleeds. I get freeze responses. And so in therapy, I'd let it happen. I just would let it happen. It ain't no use in fighting it. And when I started doing that and I started getting my memory back, also helped was recordings to hear what I was like when I was in that state, so I could take that home and process it and realize, okay, this is what happened to me. I need to go through this. I need to work on this. And once I'd get a memory from my alternative state of my mind that was put somewhere in my brain, I had to keep processing it over and over and over until it would ease. And then I could cope with it, and I'd write it, put it in the book. And I'm like, okay, that's a memory. Where does it go? How old was I? So my therapist would help me understand age-wise, so I could categorize it into my book to where it needed to be. And I'm down to, I think, 2 or 3 alternative states in my mind that I have not got full connection with. I hear it, and I sometimes can see what they're doing or hear what they're saying. It's so strange because when you start that integration process, you can kind of hear them and it's yourself, but it's so strange. And then I can see what they're doing sometimes, and it's like I'm stuck, and I want to say, stop it, let me talk, let me do this. So there's, like I said, about maybe two of them that I don't have real awareness with yet. But I'm hoping before, next year when my therapist retires, that I'm able to complete this integration process and have a life. I'll always have complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I was told by disability, even back in 2009, when they did the brain scans and stuff, that this was something that would probably never completely 100% heal. Hence the reason I'm on disability. That and like the reconstructive surgeries and the issues, internal issues I have, even just seeing the doctor. I went to go see a doctor on Tuesday, and there's some health issues that I have to work on. One is figuring out what to do with female wise. I have PCOS and all kinds of issues. Degenerative disease, fibro. So lots of work, but feel free to ask any questions, that you're curious about, and you're more than welcome to also, anything that I mentioned, use in therapy, talk to your therapist about it, whatever helps, so, but, yeah. So, and if you have questions about the book or artwork or music even, it don't matter to me. I'm very open about everything and very honest about everything. I've had people question, how do I have children? I shouldn't have children because I have a dissociative disorder. And Jules is a prime example here of how well that can be handled. It's different. Jules grew up living a different life, seeing her mother have alternative states pop out when under stress, but somehow we made it work. It's amazing what the brain can do just to survive. So. But I'm going to keep painting, and I'll keep watching. If you have any questions, just ask. I think you are doing a fantastic job, and anyone that says you can't is just not interested in seeing you succeed. Exactly. And the thing is, everybody, has different therapies or heals differently, but the idea is to, not make it your whole life, Some people are so focused on having the disorder, they're not working on themselves, and working on what's important, and that's to live life normal, to get through those challenges, Jules says, I'm excited for the butterfly you're doing. I've also been working on a lot more loose creative things. Been doing a lot of fantasy animals recently myself. Currently working on like a cat made out of lava. Well, that'll be neat. Are you making stuff for like the craft shows, darling? I think that would be great, because the more you have, the more you can sell. Mm-hmm. I'm excited about you doing the craft shows, because I can't do them. Just going to a craft show for an hour stresses me out enough, and so I'll be happy when you and Dad do the craft shows and sell some artwork. It's super cool. That sounds so awesome. I am currently working on it. Ooh, that's a tough one. Eldritch Bunny? I hope I said that right. I don't know what that is. You'll have to define. But it sounds interesting. I'm assuming Jules probably knows what it is. She does all kinds of fantasy stuff. Yes, okay. Yeah, I am. I'm tired of commissions and doing what other people want. Yeah, and that's the thing I told you before, honey. Doing what everybody else wants just wears you out. That's why I like doing these lives, because I can paint what I want, So it's nicer for me to just do art when I want. And if I don't finish something, there's no pressure. Yeah. You can advertise, I think it sounds silly, but have you ever considered doing like Etsy? Where you can paint what you want, draw what you want, and then put it up on Etsy to sell. I've had many people ask me to do that. Problem is I don't do well with the shipping thing, but you're a smart little whip. I know you could figure it out. Lovecraft. Okay. Yeah, my whole family is painters and artists. My mother's an artist. My grandmother was an artist. Her children were artists. Um, Jules is my artist daughter. My other daughter is more like her dad. She likes hunting and nature and craft. She likes to do craft stuff, like diamond art and things like that. So my two children are completely different, completely different. So, excuse me. Yeah, I've been thinking about Etsy a lot recently, and with the post office being right in town, it's not even a waste of gas. There you go to ship it. Yeah, yeah, I think it's something you should look into. And the thing is, if you want to, you can sell my stuff on Etsy. And the extra income I make, you know how I am. I'll either use it for my babies, which is you two, to do trips and things like that, or I'll save it for whatever we decide to do. I'd like to order some more books when I get the chance. I was shocked, John, for this one book. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad I went through Blurb. They did a great, fantastic job. The editing was very well, and the pictures and images are really well. $25 a book. So, John, if you know of anywhere else that makes smaller size books a little bit cheaper, let me know. So it's basically going to be a bunch of stuff made for the craft shows. Whatever doesn't sell at the shows, I can just post on Etsy. Yeah. And, Jules, I will keep making stuff off and on. So you have more to sell. And I'll let you have your fair share of what you think you'd like to have. If you happen to sell my stuff as well. Selling locally has been really poor lately. It seems like even like Facebook, if you decide you want to sell on Facebook, it's not like it used to be. People that pay are overriding the people that can't afford to pay the renewal fee. So I used to do artwork and I'd sell it locally on Facebook, and my husband would take care of that for me because I'm disabled. I'm not real good with it, and it's not a accounted income. Plus, I'm entitled to $800 a month. Because I only get $600 a month on disability, which is not much. So it's basically okay. John says I can look into it and send what I find. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, just pop it up, and if you happen to see anything, let me know. Right now I'm going through Blurb, and the quality of book is really good, but I can't seem to get them to shrink it down to a normal book size, and the cost it hurts. Jules says, speaking of, I got you a little something at an art gallery we went to today. Oh, you don't have to get me anything. I just want to see you. I love my baby. It's wild. Oh boy. Do I want to know? Hi, Byron. How are you? It's good to see you. So, I'm painting and talking about my book. Would you like to see the book? I'll set this down a minute. So, as I had told everybody else the prior story, when I was younger, okay, that's good. I'm glad you're doing okay. When I was 13, 14 years old, I was my counselor at the time couldn't get me to speak. I would freeze up and I would disassociate, and she didn't understand what DID was. At the time, it was like called MPD and stuff like that, and it was brought up maybe I had it, things like that. But she told me to write, and so the little bit that I wrote was only like 10 pages long, and I was little, and this was done on an old the typewriter that went tink tink with the ink, and that's how this book was done. And so this was the start of it, which is why over 20 years I've been rewriting and rewriting as my memory gets better. But as I was saying earlier, it shocked me the way I spoke in this, the way I was blaming myself. I had wrote in here, you know, how much I loved them and how I hurt them, you know, my own abusers, and it was painful to read it again. And then when I got older and I started working more on the book, I decided to do some self-publishing. And you can see this book was not, it's actually pages folded in half. And I didn't talk about the DID much. I talked about the CPTSD. And so I wasn't completely healed when I did this. And this was in 2014 when I had this published. I had 75 copies made, and then I just went silent. It was too much to handle, and I had more assessments done and whatnot. And then it turned into this kind of book. So I was really happy. The pages are really well done. There's imagery. Yeah, I don't care for the size. I wish it was a bit smaller, but to have it in a book form for my children and for other people, my therapist is going to be retiring soon, and I wanted her to have a copy of one because she made this happen. You know, she had helped me to get here. So, I think you missed this. I should try to network up here because the originals in that shop went upwards to sometimes 900 on the boardwalk. Honey, I don't know what that means. Shop went upwards. Okay. Byron says, I just want to let you know when you see your brother, tell him I said hi. Absolutely. He would probably be here, Byron. But he okay, so I'll tell you the story. He was going to go with us thrifting today because there was a thrift sale at this local used to be an old schoolhouse. He was going to go with us today, and my mother started yelling she wanted her boat out and she wanted to go fishing. So his plans changed real quick, and he was moving things to get her boat out. And so he's fishing right now till dark. It's almost dark, so he should be home pretty soon. But he sounded kind of sad because my mom just all of a sudden, I need to go fishing. So poor Duke. Jill says one art piece in the shop could be like 900. Oh wow. Well, you keep what you need. I'd be happy with just 40, 50 bucks. I'm not. Imagine me selling something for that price. It would be wild. I've thought about like the galleries and like Eau Claire and Chippewa and things like that. I can't get to them. So whatever you do, take my art, do what you want. Give me some. Then I'll save it for my children and books and charity work and things like that. It would be wild. John says that would be wild and very cool. Yeah. And Jules is really smart with the online stuff. However, I am not. And because of my disabilities, there's just certain things I can't do. So I usually leave it up to Jules or my husband to sell my work. And I'm happy with what I like to get enough to cover the paints and like things like this. So I saved up to have this book done. So unfortunately, the government only does about $600 a month for me. And so I count on my husband's income most of the time to get by. I want to go back to work. I hate not being able to work. And so, I'm told I can do little jobs. And so artwork is kind of a job. I've helped veterans, a lot of times the veterans will need some help with something, yard work or whatever, and I'd help them with that once in a while. So, I got to get in with the big crowd up here, I swear. Yeah. Byron says, I just wanted to know how I know you better. on his channel. I watch him play his phone games. Actually, I think it's PC he plays on. He doesn't really do phone. I do phone. I like doing phone. Right now I'm actually got two. I got the camera up here working, and then to keep an eye on the chat, I got my phone on and then messages and stuff. So he's good with technology to a point, but when it comes to like the newer technology, Duke just doesn't. He has trouble with it. You know, he can build a computer out of a toaster. I've seen it. I've seen him literally build a computer out of an old Nintendo and a toaster. But when it comes to this new thing like phones, he doesn't want anything to do with them. He's actually kind of scared of them, and I don't blame him. I mean, the way that things have been going lately, phones are kind of scary, you know. So, but yeah, and feel free to ask any questions, artwork, music, PTSD, DID, you know, whatever. I'm pretty open and honest about quite a few things. So, and I'm gonna keep painting, and as the questions pop up, I'll answer them. So it's how I stay grounded, so I don't go berserk. I mean, I ain't on your brother's channel. I watch when he plays his phone games. Oh, okay, on my cell phone. Okay, yeah. And he's so kind. He tries to do so many things. You know, I felt kind of bad because he started doing with his job and what he's been going through. We both decided after some issues that we wanted to do things, you know, bring the level down. Scheduling was the hardest. It gave him anxiety having to have everything scheduled. It just wasn't easy for him. And I just told him, I said, give it up. If it bothers you that much and people aren't, you know, being fair or whatnot. And so we stick together. We take care of each other. You know, we have since we were little. You know, everything. We've both been through a lot of challenging days. You know, when we were younger, abusive situations, and we both had to take care of each other and protect each other. You know. Don't get me wrong, he's a pain in my butt, but I love him. He's stubborn, but I love him. I will say this, when it comes down to it and something really bad happens, he is 100% always there for me. And it's the same for him. If something ever was wrong, he knows I would 100% be there for him. That's kind of a rare bond, I guess. A brother and sister don't, you know, usually brother and sisters fight like cats and dogs, and we did when we were little. But after my dad died, we just got extremely close because he didn't have anybody else, you know, other than Ma. You can only take so much of Ma. Right, Jules? Grandma. We love her. We love her. My mom is unique. I love her. I will always love her. I will put it this way: there are some things that me and my brother, we don't love what she did or how she handled some things, but we will always love her. We will always take care of her, and we want to give her the things that we didn't have. So there are things that she didn't do well at, you know, as a parent. But this is like my sister Anna and I were both the black sheep of the family. Over my actual sister, she got my back more than anything. Yeah, and believe it or not, John, we have an older sister, but we don't speak of it. So I will put it this way: she's not well. She never will be. And I say that live. Her husband was one of my abusers for 4 years, first degree assault of a child from age 9 to 14. So me and my brother, we just until she changes, and this man has harmed her. This man has done things to her he shouldn't have, and the kids, and we did the best we could with it, but you can't you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And boy, she likes to drink. she's different. So. I don't speak about mine either. Yeah. I mean, I don't mind speaking about mine. I've gotten to the point, I think, where I'm brave enough. It just doesn't bother me anymore, and when my mother eventually does pass, I will be coming out more public about who he is and what he's done. And I have all the evidence. Even in this book, there's things in here that I've had to like black out, actual names and stuff, because you know how that goes. But I'm going to expose him. I hope I hope someday, I hope he sees this video, because I'm going to expose him. I'm not the only child he did this to. There was like 2 or 3 other children. So, and of what I've been told, it's even some of his family. People like that. And the only reason he isn't in prison, back then, children were put on stands in front of their abusers. And at that time, they drug my court case out for him, because I went to an art teacher and told, because my parents were not handling it. So I went to an art teacher and told her, and the law got involved, and there was police involved, investigator. And how do I put this? They kept dragging it out to make me look older. This started the court case started when I was about 14, and they drug it for 2 years till I was about 16 years old, 17 years old. And then to find out his lawyer was part of the FMSF, which is False Memory Syndrome Foundation. How I found that out? This lawyer worked for the Green Bay Packer that raped that one girl, the Green Bay Packers football thing. And I found out he was part of the FMSF, which makes sense, because I have the original court transcript where his lawyer literally asked me when I was on the stand if I enjoyed what was happening to me. And he said, well, he figured if I couldn't give an exact date of when these incidences, this first degree assault happened, that I couldn't have been telling the truth. How is a child that's being abused for 4 years supposed to remember an exact date and time? I can remember some stuff, but again, I was being abused prior to that since the age of 2, so my memory was so foggy, and I was already brainwashed into thinking differently. Nowadays things are a lot different, but back then they didn't care. That is absolutely horrendous. It is. And he's going to pay for it eventually. I wish I could take him back to court. I have so much evidence. I mean, the worst part is that he had, after court was canceled, he had come back. At the time, I wasn't living at home. I ran away. I didn't want to be there. And my father had kind of basically kicked me out because I didn't want to be there. And that's when the religious Catholic stuff got involved. The worst part is the fact that when he came back, I was 18. I just turned 18. And he basically R'd me, graped. I'll call it grapes because that's how you say it online. And I ended up pregnant, and I was forced to have an abortion. I have the paperwork. I have the little wristband with that you wear at the clinic at the time in Chippewa Falls. So, and I'm not afraid to say that stuff publicly. Evidence doesn't. You can't hide that stuff. And that's why it upsets me so much when I see some people that just make out like this is fun, and it's not fun. I gotta live with that the rest of my life, thinking, what could I have done differently? And the fact is, I shouldn't have to think that way, because it wasn't my fault, But and I am on the same boat of waiting for one to pass on to air things up. See, you get it. Yep. Sadly, I have to wait till it is my biggest abusers, which is my stepfather. It's going to happen. There's going to be a time where you're going to be able to come out and talk about it and free yourself. I think the hardest part, John, I loved my dad very, very much, but it was almost kind of like when he did pass, it kind of opened a door to be able to talk more openly about things. And I loved my dad, but there was things he failed at as a parent. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I still love my dad. But at that time, baby boomers were raised differently. So they basically were shush, shush, quit talking about that. You don't need therapy, find something to do, and that made it more difficult. I think the hardest part was going to court and finding out that, one lady, particularly the lady I was living with when I ran away, tried to say that my father had harmed me, and that was upsetting. And I literally had to call the courthouse to get that information, and I recorded the conversation just to get all that information of what had happened and who blamed who. They were trying to detour. The FMSF was trying to detour to protect my abuser by blaming somebody else. It was just utterly ridiculous. Same for my mother, though. I love her deep down. And that's the thing, I learned in therapy that, how do I put this? You don't have to love what they done to you. You don't have to love how they treated you. You don't even have to respect what had happened. And the way I deal with it is very similar. I love my mom. I'm going to show her what love really is by taking care of her till the end, And I find that healing because I'm showing her something that she should have showed me, which makes a difference. I've noticed the difference, like with my children and stuff. It's very helpful. 1 second.
McDonald's had a bunch of baseball players and we didn't have time.
That's okay.
Ready for the 6.
Put it in the fridge. Yeah. Thank you. Love you too. Sorry, my youngest was asking me some questions. So, prove to me she preferred choosing to side with him than to believe me. Isn't that something? I actually, how do I put this? There was one session, the weather was bad, so I couldn't get to therapy. My therapy is over almost 2 hours away. So I was live Zooming my therapy, and just put them in the fridge. It don't matter. And so my mother lives next door, and we're working on boundaries. I'm sure you understand boundaries, John. And I hadn't put up that boundary, so my mother would freely walk into my home and chop stuff off or bring stuff to me. And I told her I'm in therapy, and she right away, well, can I meet your therapist? And she walked in, and my therapist is very patient, very tolerable. And my mother started talking about the abuse. And she basically was sitting on the bed as we were Zooming, and she said, well, she was old enough to know better, and I seen it happen. I seen, I could give details because I don't want to get, in trouble. But she basically stated she's seen what was happening, and she said she was old enough to know better. I was 9 years old. 9 years old. I don't know how my therapist kept her cool, but she had stated if that would have been my daughter, that would have been out the door instantly, and the cops would have been called. And my mom's like, well, no reason to. I wasn't sure. She was sneaky, blaming me. I'm a 9-year-old kid, and I believed her. I was sitting there. I'm like, she's right. And my therapist is like, no, honey, no, you're a child. No, child. And then my therapist has this way of changing things where she'll say, if that was your daughter, what would you have done? And I'm like, well, I would have called the cops. I would have, yeah. So it was like, but then to me, it's like, I don't know why I view myself differently, So, oh yes, yeah, it's amazing how parents back then view things and how they do things so differently, than they do today. Even me as a parent, I've had to, I'm trying to, my daughter Jules and I both go to therapy together when we can, and we're working on some issues that were brought up back then. And I love going to therapy with my children. I want them to have the best life they can ever have. And if I've made mistakes, I want to confront the mistakes I've made, So that one cool therapist, yeah, she is. And I don't ever understand this mentality to blame a child for something that's not their fault. Yeah. But back then, that's, parents. Here's the thing. I don't blame my mother for having that mindset. That was what she was taught. Her idea of fixing something, well, if you're sad and upset, let's go fishing. And her intentions are there to help, but because she was never raised to understand those things, it was the same with my father. That their mentality was different because they were raised different. So in some way, I try not to blame them for it because I know they didn't know better. It was hard for me to say that even today. What's nice about the job I currently have? I have enough muscle now to take on someone 3 times my size, and I have that wonderful little berserker gene, so I'm ready to throw hands with that disgusting creature that did that to you and then some. Yeah, it's weird because I've had to go to like family functions, and I don't do good with crowds. I have been known to disassociate in big crowds shopping, so it's very hard for me to. And my daughter Jules here has seen it. We had to go to, I think it was a wedding. Was it a wedding, Jules? I think it was a wedding. He was there, and I felt like a child. And I knew I had to stay. I knew I had to face this, and I had my therapist on call if needed to be. It was weird because I like seeing him, and he looks so different and old. But then my childlike mind is switching back and forth. Danger, danger. We know who that is, So there's like this fear. How do I deal with this? And my first thought is stay away. Don't make eye contact. Hope he doesn't confront you. Blah blah blah. Both my children, including my minor child, we want to go over and kick butt. We want to yell at them. We want to. It's like no. This is not the place or the time. I'm hoping eventually there is going to be a confrontation where things are handled and explained. It makes me angry that he still walks freely, but I will say this. I will say if something happens to somebody else, which there's been rumor of that it has, I'm 100% standing behind that person, and I will go on the court stand again to face him, and I will take him down. I have so much. I do have evidence to do that, even DNA. For now, I leave things alone because it's stressful for me. I'm not ready yet. The fear is still there. I can understand that. I never blame my dad for not being there to protect me. He and my grandma are probably my own actual family, an Anna I have. Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, it's like my therapist has stated, are you doing this for yourself or are you doing it because you feel obligated to do it? And if it feels obligated, is it worth doing? I look at it this way. Somebody always tells me one way or another it's going to backfire on them. I just don't understand. At first, I didn't understand why he did it. So I literally started reading abuse stories from the predators themselves. There are books out there that you can read, very hard to read, by the way. But I wanted to understand why they did it. And studies in the UK have shown that the frontal cortex of somebody that is a child predator is deformed. They are literally seeing children as adults, and they literally get off on that. And so it made more sense to me why he did it. I'm not making an excuse for him for what he done, but it makes more sense to me that it wasn't my fault. Reading that helped me to understand that these people, these men or women that see children as that, they have something wrong with them. Some people now in the UK actually find that, and it's difficult to understand, but they find that this they're having, I think it was like a shot to help stop that frontal cortex from thinking that way. I don't remember I can't remember that. You'd have to almost look it up, but there are stories about how it's dealt with, and I've read so many books on mental health because I wanted to understand, I wanted to get better. I wanted to feel better. So I think the hardest part is I still have like night terrors. I'm getting better with dealing with them. I ain't switching as much. My children have noticed that at night. Back then I used to switch a lot, but now it's getting better to where I'm getting at least 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, which is better than what it used to be. I still jolt awake. I still have night terrors. That's something that never seems to go away. Yeah, they're hard reads. Please talk to your therapist before doing that, because if she feels, or he or she doesn't feel that you're ready for that, my advice is not to dive into that. But it helped me personally. My opinion, it helped me to understand why they did that. It angered me, but it made sense to me. I didn't know that their brains are literally messed up. But then you think about it, well, what did our brains do when we were hurting? The brain is a mysterious little thing. I think the weirdest part with this whole disorder, which I'm so used to now, but it's how the body reacts. It seems like the younger the alternative state, the more my heart rate goes up, my blood pressure changes, my eyes dilate. I'm stuck in a freeze response. And it's so weird coming out of that, because I'm sure you understand if you have this issue, especially with smaller age regress states. It's almost like you know it's kind of coming, because you get used to the feeling. You feel like that feeling right before you throw up, that hot rush, and then you're froze and you're like trying not to. It's like that. And it seems like the younger the state of mind that my brain is switching to, it causes those kind of feelings. And there's been times where I've been in the ER that my therapist was present, and you can see on the monitors with the cuff on and the little heart monitor thing on, it'll bleep, and it just instantly changes within like 5 to 7 minutes. My blood pressure changes, my body temp changes, my heart rate changes. And the first time she's seen it, I thought she was going to fall over. She never had seen anything like that. And she then knew, okay, this is not the same as what's online, And at that time, I didn't even know there were other people like me at all till like 2022. I've dealt with it on my own that long. I didn't have internet, so. John Curry, yes. Hi, Duke. What's his name? Byron was looking for you. Sucked for me. Ma caught them all, and I just kept getting snagged on branches. Oh, Duke. I was just telling Byron you got sucked into going fishing with Ma. And I was talking about Ma a little bit on here, and about the time that she walked in on my therapy session. John says, for me, it feels like the younger they are, the heavier the disassociation. Yeah. And how they make TikToks and video. How did my little age regress states, they're in that time period. They literally are in like the 1980s, 1986, 1987, 1988, 19, they don't even know what technology is. They're frozen time. They freak out with the slightest sound of a voice that's not familiar to them. I have one, which is still in the integration process. My therapist says that she must be not have her teeth yet or something, because she constantly covers her mouth and she'll suck on my hair. So I always make sure when I get into therapy, I put my hair back because I don't want hair in my mouth. So for me, it feels like, okay, those pesky branches. Yeah. Oh my, you're having a serious discussion and I talk about, no, it's fine, dude. No, we're all talking about whatever we want to talk about. I'm painting and talking about my book a little bit, and it's kind of all over the place. So, and the lack of tiredness is concerning. Yeah, it's the other thing, John. I don't know if you have this issue as well, but do you ever notice? I don't know if you have smaller age regress states. Medication is different for each alternative state. Something that's supposed to calm me down can cause freaky. Sometimes my therapist, because I get very worked up, she will make sure that I have something available, or I'll ask my therapist, can I have this? And some medications that work for me won't work for age regress states. So then, I'm supposed to be sleeping, and then we have somebody that's in a 5-6-year-old stance looking for candy. The other thing that is strange is depth perception. So I'm an adult, right? And I know where the snackies are. As children, me and Duke both can clarify, we have a sweet tooth because we weren't given a lot of sweets as children, and we had to earn them. And my father would lock them in this big black cupboard with a lock. So there's been times where smaller age regress states come out at night looking for sweets. Okay. I'm an adult. I can reach that shelf. We found out through my husband and children, okay, their little's depth perception is off. So something that I can reach on the top shelf, that is meant for me to be able to reach. So per se, there's fruit snacks up there. Put it on the top shelf, which I can reach. For some reason, a small age regress state thinks they can't reach that. I've had age regress states where they can't find the light switch because they're literally reaching up here, even though the light switch is right here. Their perception is off. And I've talked to other people that, also have this disorder, that suffer from it, and they have the same issue. Depth perception and the time of year and how they feel. So different. The brain literally, it's like I tell people, it shuts off in one spot and lights up in another because it's at that stance and that age. So, I don't know what you're talking about as I eat a Snickers bar. Yes, Duke, we know you have a sweet tooth. Although Duke's doing really good. He's lost weight and he's not chunky like his heavyset sister here, but yes, my perception is also off, and I swear your balance. Yeah, it is strange how quickly balance can change as well. It seems like age regress states, personally, when I'm in therapy, they want to hit the floor. They want to sit down on the floor. They want to crawl under the desk. They don't want to, because I've seen footage of this, or at home my children will capture it, or sometimes because I'm getting better with the integration process, I'm able to see what they're doing, but I can't control what they're doing, and it's so strange. So balance is wacky too. Yeah, I want to call and gab so bad with you. I'm sure you do, Jules, but I'm live. Hi, Tree of Life. Good evening, everyone. We are talking pretty much about whatever you want to talk about, DID or painting or music. My brother Duke's here and my daughter Jules here, and so you're welcome to ask questions. I basically wanted to talk about my book. I finally got my book published, and I will explain in detail to you about that since you just got in. So I'm going to wet my brush down. So, story. When I was 14 years old, 13, 14 years old, I was in counseling, and I was going through court at the time with just one of my abusers. And I'll just come out and say it was my sister's husband, still around. And my counselor could not get me to talk. I'd disassociate, I'd freeze, I'd stare off. And her way of saying, can you write it out, honey? Can you write it out? And so the first book that I ever did was this here. And it's only about 10 pages long. And as a child, I sat there on the old typewriter and wrote out, and this was actually used in court as evidence. And from this became the idea of, okay, this helps with my memory when I am, not aware, and it helps me to remember things. So every time I'd have a memory or something, I'd write it down again. Then I decided I'd make it into more of a bigger book. And this was about 60, 70 pages. And this was published in 2014, self-publishing. And it was basically papers folded in half. And it was a simple little book. And I had 75 copies made. But this was more of, if you read, it says surviving PTSD. I denied, even though I was diagnosed with the DID, I didn't want to talk about it. I was scared of it. And so I backed away from writing and started working on myself, started intense counseling, intense therapies consisting of EMDR, CBT, DBT, EFT, DNMS. And recently, I have been typing, and finally, I got it into book form. I love this. However, I don't like the size. I would like it to be smaller in some form. And I will get there eventually. The thing I liked about it is they did allow like the pictures and the whole story itself, and it come out to about, I think it was 100 and some pages. So I had 2 copies made under a company called Blurb. I'd like to get it more of a book size, a paperback, and I'd like to have it edited. Right now, editing for getting it published, we're looking at like $800 to $1,000, and no way I can. I get $600 a month. No way I can afford it. So right now, I'm just going to stick with having it in book form. I'm happy because if something was to happen to me, my children have a copy. My husband has a copy. And I only had 2 copies made. The other one's going to go to my therapist, who's going to be retiring fairly soon. I got about a little less than a year's time, and I got to figure out how I'm going to handle things from there. She has been a tremendous help in my life for over 11 years, and so I have to figure out my new goals. I'm not completely integrated yet, so I have a lot of work to do yet. I have about 2 or 3 alternative states that I don't have complete connection with. And then there's my health, so a lot of work yet to do, but I have goals. So, Jules says, hey, Duke, guess what? And Duke says, chicken butt. Yeah, John says, evening tree. Yeah, so feel free to ask questions or anything that you want to know. I had an experience like that where a song triggered a state. Yeah, music is very powerful. It can be help and it can be not helpful. And I had a very overwhelming urge to crawl under my bed and curl up. Instead, I compromised and sat on the side with a cover over my head. So music is very, it can be helpful and it can be triggering. For me, working with my therapist, John, I found that bilateral stimulation can trigger, but it can also be useful. And so in therapy, my therapist has an MP4 player that I had purchased. And on it has songs that trigger childhood memories, trigger feelings, trigger sadness and anger and happiness. And we found that when I'm in a freeze response, because usually when I'm in a freeze response, I don't move, I will rock, my eyes will dilate, and I'm gone. And Jules also has seen this, and my brother has also seen this. And my therapist will slip headphones on with music that can cause an emotion that I need to have. When you're frozen numb, emotions get stuck inside. And the same thing is for alternative states of the mind. They get frozen, stuck, and they can't seem to do anything. So for me personally, and you're welcome to talk about your therapist with this or psychologist, we're finding, because I'm part of the studies for DID, that this is a way to stimulate an alternative state to show me memories that I have forgotten. It's very intense. It's very painful at times. And the process sometimes takes 2 or 3 up to 10 times before I get the memory back. And then I have to process through it. And music, when on my ears, can cause that emotion that I need to have. That I don't know if you've ever read the Trudy Chase books. It's called A Rabbit Howl. So it's a big, deep cry. You will hold your breath. You can shake. It's such an intense emotion. And you feel like you're going to die. But then all of a sudden, you get those memories and you're able to cry and process and connect with that alternative state, giving you a more of a integration. For me, that's how it works for me. It may not work for everybody, but it works for me. And so don't be afraid of that music. Just be careful. Work with your therapist on what works for you and what don't, if you decide you want to try it. EMDR wasn't so useful all the time because the bilateral stimulation going back and forth from the left hemisphere to the right hemisphere to stimulate the brain, I would go blind. My eyes would literally dilate and I could not focus on that light bar, and I could not focus on, they'll do this. I couldn't focus. I was gone. So she had to figure out another way to bilaterally stimulate my brain. Sometimes that was EFT through touch, tapping back and forth, or the music. And sometimes just music not being bilateral could cause an emotion. So I hope that helps some. I had an experience like that where a song track. Okay, yep, I heard that. Jules says, Duke, Hull froze over. I went on a date today. Jules, I'm so proud of you. I hope that, I'm happy either way, whatever works for you, But yes, thank you. Yeah, any kind of questions, I base all questions or all things that are talked about through my own experience. So, some things that work for me may not work for you, but the tips is what I'm after, because something that you do may work for me, or something that I do may work for you, or vice versa, or it may not. That this is such a difficult and rare disorder that some things just don't work for other people, And so I try to keep that an open mind with all therapy. What triggers you may not trigger me. Some people are afraid of fireworks, some people ain't. Some people are afraid of gunshots. Me and Duke, we don't have a problem with it. And I don't have a problem with fireworks either. However, for some odd reason, I trigger around big crowds. I don't know why. That's something I got to work on. That, and it used to be thunder. Thunder used to trigger me tremendously, but I worked on that and I figured out why, Tree says, I'm having a really hard time finding a therapist in my area. They don't know how or want to deal with my DID and CPTSD, etc. Plus, only 2 places in my little town accept Medicare. I see how strong you are. You inspire me, and thank you. Oh, I appreciate that. I'm glad that I'm able to give you some hope. And you're not the only one, Tree. Really, you're not. I see other people that, like me, don't really talk about it online, but they suffer with the issue of finding a therapist. Right now, the mental health community, as far as therapists and psychologists, is overwhelmed because they're not able to meet the needs of everyone that is dealing with this, and the people that really have it are struggling to try to find an honest and helpful therapist. Mostly the younger generation. They're confused and dealing with a lot of things that I think makes them think they might have something even though there might not be nothing there. So it makes it difficult for people like us to get the help we need. The advice I can give you, if you go under, I think it's 2 and 2B videos, there is a couple videos. If you can reach out, I'm not a big promoter of Colin Ross anymore. There's some things I don't care for. However, if you get a hold of the McLean Hospital or Colin Ross email, they can give you help for your state. So ask them, hey, I'm looking for a doctor that specializes in this or a psychologist that specializes in this. Can you help me? That's how I got through what I needed to at that time. I had reached out to Colin Ross and emailed him personally and asked for resources. I also find that if you do the same with the McLean Hospital, they can give advice on who to reach out to, to find somebody that specializes in this difficult disorder, that and reading. Any books you can get a hold of. If you read, try to read. If you can't read, audiobooks. Understanding it is the best way to cope with it because you know what your brain's doing then, I spent years and years, over 300 books I've read on DID, CPTSD, BPD, because there was that question of do I really just have BPD maybe? There was that. I doubted it. I didn't want DID. When I found out what it was, I didn't want it. And then I had to learn to accept it. Then I had to learn to love what it was and work with it. And do you sometimes feel that part of your brain when in a state? And do you sometimes feel that part of your brain when a stated is triggered? Redefine, John. See if you can retype that. A little confusing. Sometimes it's a headache and sometimes it's a tickle, at least for me. Yeah, it can vary. It depends sometimes even on the alternative state of the mind. The reason that is, John, is because your brain is shutting down somewhere and it's going to light up in another area. So it's basically dysfunctional in one spot. I've had brain scans, and even my mirror neurons in the back of my neck have damage from being hit with a broom and whacked in the back of the head, causing other issues, slow reactions, things like that. So sometimes switches are quick. Switching can be quicker, it seems like, with the older alternative states. The smaller the state or the most abused state seems to take up time, and there's that stare off, dilating of the eyes, change of body temperature, change of blood pressure, heart rate. So it can vary. At least for me, it was. I don't know how your experience is, but that's how it was for me. Sometimes it's a headache, sometimes it's okay. Tree of Life. There is hope. Yes. I'm not completely crazy and dysfunctional. I've had so many people make comments. Oh, she's always going to be sad and she's just never going to heal. Yet from 2022 to 2026, I have made huge progress. I have done the work. I'm doing well. And yet I go back and I see these people that had mocked me and humiliated me and stalked me and harassed me and threatened me, and they're not getting better. They're making up more alternative states. They are making up GoFundMes and having issues. So it's like, mock me as you will. I'm making progress. So a doctor of Seattle also on here, whom good to also follow, who talks about DID. Oh yeah. I don't know who that is, but I'm pretty familiar with a lot of the names of people that deal with DID. I really like Bethany Brand's work. I like Melissa Kaufman. There's a few of them out there. Some of them are retiring now, so we're losing quite a few. But right now, it used to be Colin Ross was like the number one doctor, and some of his work has been outdated. So they're changing stuff up. But I find that and Caroline Spring out of the UK does amazing work. I really like her work as well. So No, it's okay, John. I get it. I'm a horrible typer. I have fibro in my hands and they swell up and I mistype all the time. So, all you got to do is retype it and I will keep an eye and check what you said. I'm not judgy. Sorry about that. I'm not good at typing on tablet or sometimes at all. Tree, it's only been 5 years that I'm able to talk and hear my voice without shutting down. Yeah, it is amazing when you first start out how much I can remember being in therapy and I'd lose time and I'd come back and I'd be so angry because I left, and I'd just be in tears and I'd bawl and I'd say, I hate this disorder. And she'd say, you can't hate it. You have to learn to live with it. You have to learn to love it. You have to learn to accept it and work on it. And I've had a few people mock me for saying publicly when I had done a interview on Michelle Manna's channel that I said I would cut my own arm to artist arm to get rid of it. And that wasn't a. I've had people say, well, that's wrong. She just, how could you harm yourself in that way? It was metaphorical, saying that, like, if you have cancer, would you not want to have it removed to get better? That is what I meant. It's not something that is actually going to happen. You can't cut an arm off to get rid of DID. It was basically saying how difficult it was to cope with, and I wanted people to understand, well, this is how I feel about it, and the fact that my family openly talks about it, there's past history, things like that. So I'm 62. Oh, so you're up there in the ways. But I'm glad that you're able to work through it, work on it, not be afraid to accept it and for how it is. I will say this, at least it has seemed to die out, but the after effects will continue to affect us down the line. Yeah. I just for fun went on TikTok about a week ago. It's so bad. There's so many. It just doesn't make sense. And some of the stuff just doesn't add up. They never talk about the therapy. It's all cosplay and wigs and it just saddens me. And I literally just get to the point where it's like, nope, I'm turning it off. I don't want to even be involved in it, because DID is not our whole life. It's something we have to live with. It's just there, it's strange how people literally want that to be their whole life, and there's so much more to life, I get it 100%. Thank you. I'm glad you understand exactly how I feel too. Old fart. You're not an old fart. I'll be honest with you. I respect people that are older than me more than you can possibly imagine, because that's how we learn. You're the reason we're able to learn. You're the reason that there's going to be actual people out there that can get advice and understand how to deal with this. And we aren't cosplaying our parts or our trauma. Yeah. And that's the thing, it doesn't make any sense to me. They say some people are educating on it, some of these really big creators, yet every time you see them go live or you see them talking online, they're not educating on anything. They're not talking about their therapy. They're not talking about, what they went through and how they dealt with it. Nothing. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, what education? Can you give an example? Can you talk about this? Something, The biggest thing for me is they never seem to talk about how they dealt with, like, for me, for example, people that have been abused have been through surgeries quite a bit, because of that abuse. I've had two reconstructive surgeries, 2 private areas to fix the damage. That way I was able, the first time was after I had my first daughter. The doctor, Amy, said, were you abused as a child? You have scar tissue and damage down here. And I burst into tears. And she said, don't cry. She's like, we because you had a child. and you've stretched this out. We can work on this. We can cut this out. We can fix it. And so that was the first one. And I've had some work off and on, trying to, I get cysts in my neck, all over my body, lower abdomen areas. I don't want to talk about cysts. For some reason, my body is always in hyperarousal mode. So it makes extra testosterone, extra, all kinds of things, nervous system issues. And we aren't cosplaying. Yep. I feel like our journeys are just beginning sometimes. Yeah, that's just it. And it seems like when one door opens, one can close. And then I think the hardest part is dealing with new alternative states that are so confused and they don't understand where they are or what they're going through. And then your therapist says, guess what? You have another one that we got to work on. And I'm like, come on, now I don't want to do this. I've been this far. And it doesn't, I'm to the point now where I don't think that's gonna, I think we've gotten through most of it. What shocked me is the fact that, when, you work 11 years on your DID and your complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and you think you got it where you need it to be and you're going to heal, and then something happens. One of my issues was when my father had died. And all of a sudden, another alternative. Mine, for some reason, have numbers. And so some of them are like 5, 6, 4, 12, 14, 16, 18. The ones that have names, the names were given to them by my abusers. So Squeezy was one of them that had popped up when my father had died. And the name had come from the woman that was taking care of me when I was 15, 16 years old. And she was dormant. She was dormant till my father died. She wasn't needed, I guess, is what I was told. But it was so weird. All of a sudden, you find out there's pieces of your brain that you weren't aware of yet. But it's a process. I feel like okay. My bad. It's okay. Like I said, I figure if you make a mistake typing John, you just retype it, and I will read it. So, not a problem. I find the best thing, especially when dealing with stressful situations, is I like to paint. Painting keeps me grounded. However, when I'm in therapy, I have a tendency to fiddle with stuff, but then when I'm not fiddling with things and I do disassociate, I've learned to just let it happen because I know it's got to happen to process through whatever it is I need to process through. So my best advice is don't fight it, even if it's difficult, because it's the only way, that I know of. I mean, if there was another way, an easier way, I'd take that route, definitely, in a heartbeat. But Duke says, I'm still here, just listening on my other PC. Just shout out Duke if you need anything. Will do. Duke's my moderator. So, actually, I'm wondering, Jules, I should make you a moderator. Oh no, Jules is a moderator. Okay, Duke and Jules are moderators. Okay. I didn't know I made you a moderator, Jules. Oh, the brain of mine. I've also had this experience where I get close to a truth and my brain goes, whoa, wait a minute. The next thing I know, an altar is there. Yeah, how did I put this? Some alternative states will literally have issues, especially in males that have DID, aggression. Their intention is not to harm, but to protect. Sometimes that can come in a form that's not healthy. Self-harm, aggression, yelling, hurt, hitting things like that. The reason they do it, though, is they're trying to protect you from whatever they have for a memory. So my therapist always says, don't be afraid of what they want to show you. Tell them you want to see it. So we've gone through that process. Sometimes they'll get angry and say, no, she can't have that. She's not allowed to have that. It takes time, but a lot of times those states of your mind are just trying to protect you. I had a friend of mine, I usually don't give names, but she was dealing with an alternative state that one of her psychologists had told her, you don't have DID, quit it, get over it. Even though she's been in and out of hospitals, she's had it for years and years and years. And it almost killed her because an alternative state literally didn't like what was said. And the fact was, it wasn't, the state wasn't doing it to harm her. It was doing it because it didn't feel it was believed. And I was thankful she had contacted me. I don't know if I helped with that process or not, but I basically told her it's valid, it's understandable. They're just trying to protect you. They just don't know how. My therapist always states that giving them a new job, and understanding what they have is best. And it may take a while for them to understand that, but yep, I am one. Yep. I didn't know that. I had a double take on that. So well, and I don't know if you can hear a little bit of the music in the background, but I got into the new thing now that I find fun to do is writing songs and then writing the songs and then sending it through an AI filter, and they literally make it into a song for me and then sing it for me. So I've been kind of doing that. I find it very healing, so being able to add my personal experience into that. So yeah, the thing I find most interesting is people that do have complex post-traumatic stress disorder with DID. They're not real apt on bragging about it, and they're not real apt on, making fun of it. Because every day, some days are good, but every day is a struggle. Every day is you don't know what you're going to wake up to. And like Tree of Life, she's up there in age, and if you don't get a grip on this disorder, it can cause so many health issues. Fibromyalgia, POTS, high blood pressure, PCOS. And some people say, well, those are different diseases. Why do they relate? Well, they relate because you're always in that fight to flight response. You're always at trust issues is huge with people that have DID. You're dealing with self-harm and amnesia, so lack of sleep and all that. And the body, as some people say, the body keeps score, So I like the music you're playing. I'll have to replay it. I need to go. Take care and stay strong. Thanks again for being you and true to yourself. You're making a difference in folks' lives. Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you for being here. I don't know how much longer I'll be on it. I'm just kind of playing around. So you're welcome to pop back anytime. And any questions you have or something pops in and you want to ask something, go right ahead. And thank you for understanding and sharing your experience. I barely want to tell people. It took a year, according to my partner, for me to tell him about it. Yeah, it takes time. And the thing is, how you deal with it is also your choice. Some people say it's strange how I just come out and talk about it like I do. And the reason I do is I find it healing. Some other people don't. Some other people find it more healing to heal quietly. For me, I'm tired of being quiet. Tired of people running me down. I think the biggest experience was when I was attacked on TikTok, and I decided I'm not staying quiet. This ain't right. And I started talking and supporting other people that also felt the same. I have many, many health issues and brain damage from abuse. Yep, same. And it's such a struggle. I found, because of, believe it or not, Trey, it was the medication they had me on that really stopped the progress. They had me on antidepressants, and as you know, antidepressants for people that have DID just sometimes does not work. It can make more issues. And so once I was carefully weaned off the medications under supervision, everything just came back and flooded everything. Hi, baby. My kitty. And I was thankful to be able to work through that and find natural ways of healing better, especially with the fibro and the health issues I'm having. I refuse to take all those medications. I want to try to do them as naturally as possible. But you have a great day, Tree, and thank you for being here. I appreciate you. John says, have a great day, Tree. Hugs, hugs, prayers. I have to agree. I have so many issues. Sometimes I am surprised I can function at all. Some days you can't. I've had days where I'm so angry because my brain wants me to do something, but my body's going, nah, nah, and I get frustrated with that because, especially if I'm working on something, I'm one of those people where I start something, I want to finish it. And that can be difficult. Very, very difficult, especially if the body gives up. My biggest issue is the fibro flares, the flare-ups that I've been having. Something to look into, if you're still here, and same with you, John. When you go in for your physicals, my therapist attends because that's how she keeps track of things for research. And my sediment rate, when my body inflames, my white blood cell count is off and my sediment rate is up. Those are signs of inflammation in the body, that the body is fighting against itself. So don't be afraid to keep an eye on that, or question it and say, hey, what's my sediment rate? Usually a high sediment rate is something that is above, I do believe, 30. You'll have to look it up. I know mine was at 40 and that was not good. I try to naturally handle it. I've had Teradol shots to help with the inflammation and to help with the pain, but Teradol shots are very hard on your heart and they're very active very quickly. And so I'm trying to find ways to deal with that because my doctor's kind of like, no, you shouldn't get these so much anymore. Frustrates me because I like them because I can get a lot of work done when I get a Teradol shot. They don't make you like woozy or druggy or anything, but it brings down that inflammation rate and you feel really good and you just don't want to stop working because if you get it, you want to get everything done before the shot stops working. Oh, Kitty. Yeah, she came in, she left. She come in to state her mind, and I love her so much. She's my highlight of my life. I didn't think I'd ever get attached to an animal again because I've lost so many over the years. But she's I don't know. Sometimes I think she's somebody from my past just watching out for me. She's so cute too. When I crawl in bed back here, I lift the blanket. She does this little circle thing, and then she plops down on my arm. I have to agree. I have so many. Oh, right there. Okay. Like and subscribe. Hi, Aunt. How are ya? Thanks for coming in, bud. So good to see you. I was wondering if I was going to see you tonight. Aunt here is amazing artist, guys. Give him a like, subscribe to him. Aunt is, John, you would like Aunt. Aunt is very sweet. I call him the night therapist because even though he's not a therapist, his voice is soothing. He's very caring. He's all about helping people out and an amazing artist. He's going to get mad at me and tell me to shut up, but he is. He's a very, very, very nice person. I am so thankful I've met Aunt. So, I've been meaning to look into that because I have flashbacks and still flare-ups of severe pain in my legs sometimes, like someone taking a cheese grater to my bones. Work with your therapist on that if you can. It can vary. It can be sometimes it can be a somatic symptom, which means your body is, how do I put this? I'll give you an example. I'm female. Because of what I've been through, I've had issues after being graped. We'll say grapes, whatever, where I've bled or I've had damage. When processing memories, my body will react the same. I will literally have like a light pink bleed again. And at first I was like, what is wrong with me? I'd run to the ER. I'd be in pain. I'm like, my side hurts. My side hurts. Here to find out, certain episodes of abuse causes my body to react like it's happening again. I've had times where I'd stop breathing and almost pass out because I'm holding my breath because I feel like I'm being choked. And I'm not. It's my brain thinking it is. So, but it could be an actual physical thing. So something you got to work through with your therapist. Try to connect the two. I always tell everybody, connect that physical therapist with your mental health therapist, or physician with your mental health therapist. Having them two locked together and work on whatever may be going on, save your life, dude. No joke. I still have moments where I'll text my therapist, this is what's going on, and I don't know if it's somatic or if it's not somatic, and she'll give me these questions, and then I'll kind of come to a conclusion. Okay, yeah. I have 3 babies myself. Yeah, they're the whole world. Those little kitties. I used to have I didn't mind dogs, but it seems like dogs kind of stress me out because they are another thing that needs me. Cats, they don't want you. They don't need you. They're just kind of like pet me and leave me alone. And my cat can be my cat is like a sweet Sour Patch Kid. She can be the most loving, caring little person, and then all of a sudden she just turn around and nip you for no reason at all. But that's what I like about her, because she's got these different, personalities kind of. Cats have always been, when I was little and abuse took place, cats were my everything. After something would happen, I'd go to the hayloft and be with them, and they were my soothing. I could cry into their fur. I can remember when I was very, very tiny, sneaking up that ladder just to be with the kittens in the haymound. And I'd come down with fur all over my face, sticking to my face. And there's times in therapy where my therapist said I'd be going like this, and she's like, "What's wrong?" And a little age regressed state would state something about the fur being stuck on her face from crying and stuck on her mouth. And yeah, but that was how they dealt with it. Cats were there. That's what was available, to hug her and be there for me at that time. So it's amazing how animals can help soothe problems like that. Aunt says, hugs and love. Thanks, Aunt. And any questions you got, Aunt, hit me up. Aunt, I gotta show you. The whole reason I'm on here is my book. It hasn't been published, but it has been made into book form through a company called Blurb, and the pictures and everything. This is 20 years in the making, and I keep telling everybody the same story. The first book that I did, I was 14 years old, and my counselor at the time, I couldn't speak. I was unable to talk. I was froze, disassociative. I was only 13, 14 years old. And she said, if you can't speak, Eva, write it. So when I was 13, 14 years old, I typed this out on them old computers, and this was actually used in court at that time to help explain what had happened. And from this, in 2014, I did have the book published, but it wasn't right yet. And as you can see, it was kind of like a piece of paper folded in half book kind of deal. And I still kept writing. Every time I get a memory back, or I would remember things, from alternative states, I would write it down, age, and now it's into a book where my memory is here. So that way, if something ever happens to me, I only have 2 copies so far, because $25 a book. So guys, if you know of a company that's cheaper, that takes PDF books and makes a smaller version and a cheaper version, let me know, because getting these was $25 a piece. They're a nice book, but I would like to get it more in like a 5.5 size and 8.5 size, where it's like half this. And I got to figure out how to do that yet. But if you have anything that comes to mind, let me know, So yeah, really happy with the book. So yeah. Hey there, John. It's a pain that makes it hard to sleep. Yeah. It seems like more at nights, John, that and Aunt will tell you, me and him both, he games at night and he's my way of falling asleep. Excuse me. For some reason at night is when the flare-ups take place too. It's like when you're laying down, the body reacts. For some reason, it's like it don't like that position. And it could be from abuse, and it could be just because your body has struggles with certain health issues. It's so hard to say. It doesn't happen a lot, but when it does, it's enough to keep me immobile and crying because how bad it feels. I can't speak by the others, but I feel it sometimes in my arms too. Similar, John. Have you ever been tested for fibromyalgia? Because it's pretty common. 60 to 70% of people that have severe CPTSD with DID also have some kind of nervous system issue where the nerves are damaged, or it depends on the abuse. For me, there was a lot of things that didn't help. Being cold, locked in places that, you keep in mind Wisconsin weather, living on a farm, that and your system being in overdrive constantly. Something to think about. For me, that was going to see Dr. Malone out of Marshfield, Wisconsin, and he did a fibromyalgia test, basically pushing on 20 different pressure points. I had little sticky things on me that would register as he pushed to see where the pain level would be and what would happen. I also had another therapist at the time with me when that was done, and I scored 18 out of 20. Some people say there's 18 points. Why he did 20 points, I don't know. All I know is he told me I scored 18 out of 20, which is very severe for fibromyalgia. And that was back in 2017. So it's something to think about. It might help. I personally don't want to take like certain medications for it, like Lyrica and gabapentin, because the side effects are horrendous. So I deal with it naturally, and that is with natural remedies. Anti-inflammatory diet is one. Avoiding breads, noodles, anything that can cause flare-ups. So might help you, might not. It just all depends if it's actual physical issues with your body or mental health issues. So you got to work with your therapist and figure out which one is it and what's changed. I find digging into anti-inflammatory foods and drinks helps. Recently, I've discovered raspberry leaf tea has tremendous effects. If you look at my posts on YouTube, my face was really swollen, and within 2 hours, the swelling. I was drinking raspberry leaf tea, so I'm going to be going to the woods and picking me some raspberry leaves dry. I'm going to hang them over my beams in my cabin here, and I'm going to start making me some teas. So Aunt says, oh, nice. That's fantastic memories. Thank you. And you're welcome to call me Eva if you like. It really don't matter. That is my real name, and I'm not afraid to state my real name, my first name anyway. I wish I knew the first thing about writing books to help. Oh no, it's okay. No apologies needed. It's a process, and I'm enjoying it. The challenges are good for me. So, John says, is it helpful when I am further into my therapy to include my partner, especially if I want to help him understand as much as he can? I can't give a yes or no on that. Personal experience, my husband goes with me to therapy, not always, probably about once a month. He goes in, we discuss current issues, past issues, what's going on. It just depends what makes you comfortable, and it depends what helps. For me, I didn't mind. My family, my children would go in once a month, just basically to update. The children would talk about what they've dealt with alternative states. My husband would talk with the challenges he has, because some alternative states don't get along with him very well. So for me, I found not always being there was helpful. It just depends, whatever works for you. John says, not my little thing in the way. Not yet. I am looking into it. Gonna hop off. Let me know when you're done. Call me. Okay, Jules. Love you. Have a great night, Jewel. Got to lurk memories. Yeah, nice to meet you, Jonathan. Okay, Aunt. I know you probably planning on doing a stream or something. I know you're always busy. You're drawing. So whatever you got going on, but I'll try to pop in and see you later as well. A pleasure to meet you, Aunt. Aunt is a very, very, I don't want to say special because that's not the word, but a very kind and very caring person. And I was very fortunate to meet him. So me and my husband enjoy his content, especially his artwork and his songwriting. Very talented young man. So, but yeah. So I'm gonna keep painting. I'm not. I figure eventually I'm gonna probably get off here, but I'm not quite ready yet. I figure I'm kind of waiting for somebody else to pop in. A friend of mine, Lanny, also has been very supportive. So, but Aunt, have you seen Lanny? If you're still here, let me know. I'll tell her I'm on. I sent her a link, but Lanny does jokes. Lanny loves to do jokes for people and cheer people up. It seems like everybody that is a part of my life in some sort of way does supporting and healing stuff like music and artwork and animals. I have one friend of mine, Cranky Crow, on here. If you want to check her YouTube out, she does guinea pigs, cat, herbs, and music. A very amazing, one of my besties. I will say she's my best friend, sister that I should have had. Very talented woman. And then, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask away. Anything else you'd like to know? Hard questions, I can take them. I'm trying to figure out this one corner. It looks like it pops out, but I don't think it's going to get paint. It's almost like it got rubbed off. I would definitely give them a look. Yeah, I try to follow people that are into doing artwork and supporting hobbies, good, healthy mental health hobbies. So I think I've had so much challenges with online that I find doing things are certain boundaries. Boundaries is a huge thing, John. So being online is, you really got to put up boundaries when you go live and when you do stuff like this. And a lot of people, it can be difficult because I'm not a professional therapist and I'm not, I can't give like legit advice and say this is going to work for you and this isn't going to work for you. Most of the time I say, hey, mention this or give this a try because it's the only way I know. Another thing I find useful, John, is projects. I think doing projects, especially like right now, I'm working on a 1984 North Star camper that was made in Minnesota. That basically it was falling apart. It had a lot of water damage, roof damage. I've been at that almost a year now already. I'm getting the roof done though. I actually talked to a Mennonite who stated he could probably make me a light aluminum roof for the top. Oh, John, I can't wait to have that done and go camping and take video footage of camping. Camping is so relieving to me. It's weird because I have agoraphobia when it comes to big crowds, but camping, if I can get out in the woods with a camper and do that little survival thing for a few days, feels good. Gives me gives me hope and makes me feel good, and the fresh air is nice. Even though I live in the woods, you think I wouldn't want to go camping because I live camping. Different environment, different survival. I love it. And I never go on the weekends. I always go during the week because otherwise there's just too many people around. But there are campsites that are more secluded, and I just really enjoy going on walks in different areas and seeing different wildlife. And my kids, I want to go camping with my kids. So I am just thankful for the advice. I give any advice I can. I try to answer as honestly as I can. I may not be right with everything either. I just figure I want to see people that have this live. I want to see them live somewhat of a normal life. It's better that way. Oh, that sounds like it's gonna be amazing. My best friend and I are thinking of doing the same this summer. Do it. Start slow, because I'm assuming like me, you have had spells happen in public, even though you don't want them to. And so maybe take your partner with you first couple times. I enjoy I want to go with my husband, but I also want to go alone, and I also want to take the kids. So I have all these different, I want to do it all. Try to find best advice. You don't have to. Best advice, don't wander too far from home. Pick a campsite that is less than 20 miles away from home. That way, if you forget something or you get upset, you want to keep that anxiety level down. Mention to your therapist you're going. Don't buy everything all at once. Borrow. Camping, it doesn't pay to buy everything, because what if you decide you don't want to do it again? Then you're wasting money. Keep it simple and just do one night. And if it goes good, plan it again. Do 2 nights. And if it goes really good, try a little farther location. Try different places. Take your time. My biggest issue is making sure that I have a bathroom near me. Because of the DIBS and fears of not being able to go or able to go, I like to have the bathroom. So there's one particular campsite that is only 6 miles from my house here, which is just stupid. You think, oh my God, you're only 6 miles from home. Why go? I like it there because he has sites near the bathroom that are always available during the week. And the sites are very separated by trees, and there's a lot of spacing. So it's very, privacy is good. And they only charge $20 a night. So I'm like, this is nice. I like this. Oh, that sounds like it's going to be amazing. My best friend. Okay. That definitely a good idea, especially because I easily get overwhelmed in public places. Yeah. And the thing is, before you go camping, because my therapist said, give it a try. Because I used to when I was younger and it didn't work out. I'd have dissociative spells. I'd end up calling somebody to come get me. I'd be confused. And so I gave up on it. And now I'm getting back into it and I like it. Advice, take your spouse, your partner, and just drive around to these places and look them over first. Walk around. Talk to the people that run it. Figure out where the bathrooms are, what the sites look like. That way, when you decide to book a site, you know what you're in for. You know where the bathroom is. You know the layout. I find that best. Then there's not that panic of where do I go? What do I do? And visit it a few times. Even just do like a small picnic for the day and visit the place that you want to camp at. And this was all advice my therapist had helped me out with. She also herself is an adventurer that likes to be out in the wilderness. So she helped me to get used to figuring out how to plan ahead. Even trips with my husband, we like to get out, and I don't really particularly care for hotels. So I like to stay in like cabins and things like that. And I like going to visit different various places in Wisconsin. I never want to leave the state, but I like going on small trips overnight. So my husband will take me and we will plan a trip ahead of time. Last year we did Crystal Cave. This year I don't know what we're going to do yet. Well, but I want to plan a trip, to stay overnight somewhere. He would like to see elk. So we're thinking about heading towards more like the Ashland area. I would like to check out the glow rocks on Lake Superior. And so we might do that. But we always plan everything ahead of time. We look at the hotels or the cabins online to see what they look like, plan ahead. That way there's not that panic. We plan our route. Everything is planned based around bathrooms, food, and security. So the other thing you can do too is when you're in therapy, have your therapist ahead of time talk to your alternative states about the trip you're planning to take. It does help register. It'll connect with you and you connect with them. So your alternative states will have an idea that something is going on. We do that with doctor's appointments. I have little alternative states that are petrified of doctors and needles. So a lot of times my therapist will talk to them ahead of time about what is going to happen. This can give them a reassurance that somebody will be with them and that it'll be fine and they have no reason to be out, because littles don't like hospitals. They don't like most kids don't, you know. So it helps to kind of plan ahead. And my therapist will talk to age regress states like that are 5, 6 years old and say, you have a doctor's appointment next week. So if you're going to be out, I'm just going to tell you this is what's going to happen. This is where we're going. I'm going to be with you. If you don't want to be out, don't be out. It's not like it's controlled that they can be out or not out, but it gives them an idea that this is going to happen and you might not want to be. So everybody's different when it comes to that stuff, but glow rocks sounds pretty. They really are. They I think they use a black light. I'm trying to think what the rocks are called, but they're on Lake Michigan and you're allowed to look for them at night, and you basically hold this little blue light and the rocks light up, and I can't remember what the name of it. You can look it up. Lake Superior. It's like the border between Wisconsin and Michigan, and I want to do that. I want to try that with my husband. I would love to go rock looking. So the fact that they glow is what's really, really caught my attention. So I just can't remember what the names of them are. And my therapist actually told me what they are, and I just can't remember. But I like being outdoors, and I like doing all that stuff. Oh, look at there! I got halfway. I don't know if you can. That glare is so bad. It's a lot prettier when there we go. Halfway. This has all got to be done in black, and I'm probably going to add some yellow and make the orange pop out. But glow rocks sounds pretty. Oh, I think I read that one already. So yeah, I really would like to see you. If you ever do decide to do that stuff, even if you don't talk about it online, give it a whirl, dude. It's worth it. And the thing is, when you take trips like that, it don't cost much. Little camping trips or little side trips around whatever state you're in. It's good. I do too. Love things that glow, and so do I. I love things that glow, and so do I. That does look pretty. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's so weird, the little things. I've had some therapists can't give gifts. Some prefer not to. My therapist will give me things from states I ask for. So she'll bring pine cones. She'll bring me, sometimes I ask for little frogs because I don't leave the state. So I collect things from other states. And she'll get things that are simple, that are available nature's way, And I cherish stuff like that. You wouldn't think a person would collect stuff like that, but I do. It's so weird. But it's so cool to have a pine cone from Michigan or Colorado or something, And I think I value that more than something that would have been bought. Elvira says hello. She decided to walk on the iPad. I love the name. Is that based on the movie Elvira? Me and my brother love that movie. Duke, talk about Elvira. It was one of our favorite movies growing up as a kid. I don't know why our parents let us watch it, but and the thing is, if you ever seen her in real life, she actually has red hair. She's very pretty, and she's now close to our mom's age. But yes, yeah, you too. Yeah, I'm guessing you're close to the Gen X age group then. Elvira was something growing up as a kid. I don't know. It was how she handled the situation. Creepy though that uncle of hers. Oh, when I was little, he creeped me out so bad. Yeah, that's a classic. It's and did you know she actually on Counting Cars or Counting something, she had the car redone. She literally took the car back in and had it redone like it was in the movie, and she owns it. Cool episode. You have to Counting Cars. Counting Cars. I watch her every Halloween. We do too. My other two is I don't know if I can pronounce it that Sethalu and Nigel Thornberry. Okay. That was a tough one. I probably didn't say that right, but I tried. Mistress of the Dark. Yep. We're talking about Elvira. John's a big fan. Yeah, my brother grew up with that movie, and he still every Halloween watches it. I like to watch that and the old Hocus Pocus. I didn't really care for the new Hocus Pocus, but I like Bette Midler, so big fan of Bette Midler. That is cool. I want to have a car like that. Yeah, my brother does too. His favorite part, because we grew up in an Amish community. His favorite part is when she drops the hot dog, and then she's waving at the Amish. But yeah, my brother did like an extensive history on her. He could tell you more. I know she even had like a bad experience, like trauma as a child or something, and her body. I think Duke was her body like burned or something, and that's why her dress was a certain way because her back or something got damaged. Either way, her real hair color I think is red, and it was a wig that she wore. I love her movie about the haunted house. I don't know if I've heard of that. You'll have to put that one in the comment section because anything about her, me and my brother will definitely watch. She did a documentary, I think, talking about her Elvira experience. The song in that is just so fun to sing. Oh yeah. I didn't even know. Does she sing or is it just the song that's in it? I know she's a very talented woman. Elvira Haunt Hills. Elvira Haunt Hills. It is called. Okay. Duke, you want to look that up? Because that'd be something we should watch together. We like to watch movies together. Sometimes we'll watch the old classics. What's the matter, baby? Hi. What? You see his little tail behind me. What? Why don't you jump on the bed? I'll give you a pet so everybody can see you. Come here. Come here. Hi, baby. turn your collar though, because I don't want people seeing your identity tag. Goofy girl. Are you being a goofy girl? Where's my baby? Say hi to Misha. She's like, Mom, this bed. Let's go to the bed. Yeah? What's the matter? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Hi, baby. What's the matter? Huh? Mommy will be done soon. Yeah, then we'll snuggle. She's basically saying, Mom, bed. I think she was abused. And okay, yeah, I thought so too. And I wasn't sure. I can't remember. You told me a little bit about it. And yep, she sings in it. It is so great. I didn't know what she's saying. I'll have to definitely check that out. Her real name is Cassandra Peterson. Yep. Is it free on YouTube? And it is free on YouTube, and I believe it is on Amazon Prime. Okay, I have both, so yeah, that I could look that up. Oh, what a pretty kitty she is! She's a very spoiled, pretty kitty. I took her in right away when I seen she was two-faced. I love that she had two different colored, because one side's like orange and the other side's like a black. And I had a hard time figuring out a name, but then I liked the name Misha. I was like, I'm going to name her Misha. Well, then it kind of fit after a while because she was always getting into trouble. So I started calling her Mischievous Misha. And I've considered starting her own channel because she gets into trouble, but I'm afraid it'd take away from my channel, so I'm just going to keep her on mine. But she's always getting into something. She had this fetish with wigs for a while. They were out of my Halloween box, and we had to tape that shut. And I don't know, she's the highlight of my day, let me tell you. So I take care of feral kitties and have two cats that are those colors. Yeah, there's a name for them too. Turtle shell or turquoise, I think they're called. I think they're called turtle shells. Or turquoise. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I was in a group for a while that supported her kind of kitty, but it just got to be too much with the notifications and stuff, and I was like, eh. Okay, back to baling hay. Are you farm simming while I'm Duke? Say hello to my brother. Give him a sub. He does unique videos too. Right now he's restoring a 90s Honda 3-wheeler. So if you're interested in seeing the restoration of that, he's recently doing that. He also does farm simulator. I was hoping he'd have some fishing videos tonight, but I don't know if he did that or not. So same with Elvira. She's always trying to get my eraser or biting my writings. Yeah. It's funny because it's like they know they can get away with that stuff because they're cute. So they pull that little card of I'm cute, you can't yell at me. It's true. It's my cat could get away with a lot of things. She knows I'm not gonna. I'll get upset and say, hey, knock it off, but I just can't get mad at her. I'm picking up the motor for it in the morning if you want to ride along. Oh, I might. What time? And where are we going? Depends how far we're driving. And where. If it's like some big town or something, I don't know. Oh, of course, you probably don't want to say where, but give me an estimate of how long of a drive we're taking. 9:10ish, Dan's. Oh, it's over there. Okay. Yeah, maybe. I would like to see his wife again and chat with her. Depends how my guts feel. So Duke, I got a confession to make. I wish you would have went with us today. I know Mom had you busy, but we went to that thrift thing, and hubby took me out to eat in Kadap, and I was good. I was really good. I had breakfast. I didn't have anything inflammatory. They had blueberry cream cheese pie, dude. I know I'm not supposed to have cream cheese, and I did it anyway. And my husband let me do it. 2 hours later, I'm sitting on the potty and I'm miserable, and I knew better. It was worth it. Like all my cats are, but her more so. She always at my side or in my lap, or does she follow you to the bathroom too? Yeah, mine does. What, honey? I know. And you should see the way she looks at me is just too adorbs. Yeah, they do that little. She looks at me with such love, it melts my heart. It's almost like certain cats. It's almost like somebody you know, right? Truck stop, been there, love the food there. Yeah, I was telling hubby I wish we could get like a small acreage of land there just to camp out there. It's so beautiful there. I really like that area. Dad did too, Duke. I don't know if you remember. Dad almost moved there, but because Mom wanted to be near water for fishing and stuff, that's the whole reason he didn't. He liked Thorpe too, but he liked being near places to eat, and like me, he wanted to be near, not in town, but near town, you know. He used to talk about that a lot when he was hanging out with me when he was working on that house. I miss those talks. John says yes, and oh my God, same. I am not supposed to have dairy, but sometimes the ice cream just well, it's not really the dairy, because like I can drink milk. I'll just come out and say it. I'm a milkaholic. They don't have AA for milkaholics. So I had blood work. I was supposed to fast for my blood work on Tuesday. And I already warned the clinic ahead of time. I said, I'll fast. I don't have a problem fasting. I said, but if I don't have my glass of milk in the morning, I'm not going to be able to hold my state of mind. I don't know why, but I have to have it. And if I don't have milk a whole day, I get sick. I will puke. I will get dizzy, and I disassociate, and I have a heck of a time staying grounded. I don't know why. It's like a necessity for me. But like other stuff I can live without, but milk I can't. But cheesecake and whipped cream, I don't know if it's because of the whipping of it makes me extremely sick. And I wanted it though. I love cheesecake is my favorite, and I and blueberries. So I fell for it. I had it with my breakfast, and yeah, it bit me. The day I can't drink milk is the day I pass away. Yeah, I've already agreed with that too, Duke. I'm afraid if the world goes to crap, you and me will have to probably kidnap a cow. Can you just see that on the news? Brother and sister kidnap a cow off a Mennonite or Amish farm. Sorry. Yeah. Although though I could substitute. I mean, milk itself, I can't live with that. So I could have goat milk. I've never tried like almond milk or anything. But if it has that same texture, maybe. Me and Duke, we grew up on unpasteurized milk, raw milk, straight out of a cow. And it seemed like, I'll be honest with you, it seemed like we've always kind of had gut issues, but it seemed like since we weren't getting that, for me anyway, it seemed like that's when I really started having gut issues, because our bodies literally had to adjust to that boiled and pasteurized milk. And we talk about it all the time, how much we miss the taste of the cream and the taste of warm milk. I can remember my dad giving me a cup. He had this little cup in the milk house, and he would milk straight out of a cow because I was hungry, and he would just, here. and drink that down like it was nothing. And now they say that children have died from the bacteria of that, and I'm just like, come on. I'm still alive. Duke is too. I am the same about coffee, not because it keeps me awake, because half the time it doesn't, but it helps some stuff I consistently deal with, like heavily disassociate. Coffee, it can be my husband, he cannot go a day without his coffee. I love the smell, but I hate the taste. I always was that way. I don't know why. The smell is alluring, but the taste I could never take. Almond is not milk, it's juice. Duke, some people can't have dairy like John, and almond milk is a substitute. Duke is very set in his ways. It's kind of like the deal. So I'll put it this way. My brother has an issue with green tractors. He really doesn't know why. He hates John Deere's, and he'll point blank talk about how he'll tell my husband, "You get a green tractor, you're no longer welcome on my property." My husband wants to get a green tractor now because he knows it annoys Duke. Duke is, and I asked him one time, I said, give me facts on why you hate those tractors. He had a hard time coming up with that. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, I like the old John Deere. So Duke is set in his ways. He's old, grumpy. That's why I love him. I mean, you two are proof that not exactly true. Yep. I can't drink it with sugar, just creamer. That's fine. Drink all the almond juice you like, but it's... Would you stop it? By the way, he's just joking. If you ever see my brother on his channel, he is the biggest goofy goof. And I'll tell you something though. Duke's really good at like fixing things and stuff, and he's really good at building things. But don't ever give him a caulk gun. The man can't caulk at all. When I was building my home back in 2022, I literally built this house. Did the blueprints, sold our old home, and basically paid off my husband's debt. And we wanted to be debt free. Some of the work that the Amish did wasn't good, so we had to fix it, meet it, get it up to code. And asked my brother to do some caulking. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Never again. Not a caulker. Maybe those tractors offended him. I don't know what his problem. He I don't know if it's the color or the way it sounds, or I don't know. He's all about Farmer All everything, especially Farmer All C's. But that's what we grew up with, so it was specific tractors that he got attached to as a kid. Well, and Duke here, he was driving a tractor by the time he was 8, 9 years old. So, we were farm kids. We basically, when we could walk, we would work. I don't care if it was rock picking in the field. By the time you were 3 or 4 years old, the work had to be done, and my dad made darn sure we were doing it. Free child labor, basically. That's why some of these kids, they complain about little tiny things like their cell phone got taken away, and it's like for us growing up, we were just thankful to breathe or be alive the next day. I mean, I'll put it this way. My dad was a good dad to a point, but there was things that they did that they didn't know were bad. Duke, he drank gasoline when he was little, and my mother had to put a raw egg down his throat, make him throw up. He thought it was chocolate milk, I guess, or what she thought it was. My brother had his thumb cut off in the poop spreader, sticking his hand where it shouldn't have. There's just been so many moments in our lives where we were very fortunate to not die. That we don't know how. Even the old house we grew up in, it was pretty much not good. It was condemned to a point. It had newspapers from like the 1800s in it, and we even found an old wooden leg in there in the wall. When we tore it down, there was bees, rats, hornets. I can remember my mother, when I was very young, vaguely remember being like 2 or 3 years old, and the rats that were in that, I think there were rats or mice. Uh, my mother was constantly shooting them at night, and sometimes they'd nip your feet. Sometimes they'd, she was trying to get rid of them. Eventually, my father did save up enough to build a new home, but that's all mentioned in this book as well. That experience, that and my sister talking about the guy that had died from the depression, hung himself on the property. I guess she was always telling us our house was haunted. That didn't help. They had the audacity to be green. When I caulk it, it's for function and sealing, not looking pretty. Really? Well, when you do it the way you do it, it's neither. You're just not a caulker. Now tell him to fix a three-wheeler or a vehicle. He's all over that. Or make a computer work good. He's all over that. But tell him to caulk. Nope. I'm determined to finish this orange. As much as I know, I was just thinking to have a place to live. I moved a lot. Yeah, me too. Which is probably why I don't ever want to leave my state. Yeah, it seems like, John, with your DID, do you ever get moments where the voices in your head get really loud and you feel the need to run? I always have a run bag. My therapist constantly tells me you need to give up the run bag, and I can't. 11 years later, I still can't. I feel like if I don't have it, something could go wrong. I always have to have a run bag to run, just in case something goes wrong or I need to run. And every so often, I just have to leave. I have to leave for a couple days or just run somewhere like camping. I'll go camping just to get away. It seems to quiet the noise in my head down. And I feel better when I come back. Usually I have to be with somebody though, because I have spells. So a lot of times I have to always have somebody with me when I do these things. Yep, constantly feel the need. That is amazing. You built your house. That's been one of my dreams for a while. I was very fortunate. My husband had, before we moved here, we had a 3-bedroom home, 1 bathroom, and 40 acres that he had owned. And he was about $70,000 in debt. And my plan was, we're getting older, because our house was wood heat only. And so every year we were cutting cord after cord after cord of wood. And hence the reason why my back is messed up, why my body is probably messed up as well, is from that. I told him, I said, I have the started degenerative disease. He has inverted hips that he's had 5 surgeries on. So we had to decide what is best for us. And I said, if something happens to you, I can't be stuck with this debt. I don't know what I would do. So we made the decision to sell the 40 acres and the 3-bedroom, 1-bath house, pay the debt, and build with what we had left. Best decision I think we made. The only issue is some of the home that was built wasn't met to code. So Duke and me made sure it was, and worked really hard. I mean, the Amish did a pretty good job, but there was problems where they didn't put vapor barrier in the roof, and they didn't put the heck's the name of plywood on the roof. It was just spray foam. And I'm like, all winter my roof kept leaking. I couldn't figure out why. And then we took 10 off and we're like, oh, no. So we told them something needs to be fixed. This needs to be fixed. They came, they fixed it, and got it up to code. But it was like, oh. But I did the blueprints for this house. We went through the bank, did all. We didn't go through a realtor. I don't trust realtors, and I didn't want them taking like 10% of what we worked hard to do. So we did everything on our own. Best decision ever. Um, and I wanted to live closer to my brother and be able to help him, especially because my mother does not drive. My mother's very smart, but you put her out in the woods, she can survive probably a month or more. She's very intelligent. Put her in the middle of upstate New York, she'd die in a day. She just doesn't have the capacity to understand anything when it comes to society, functioning in society. She's very simple woman, very redneck, put it that way. So she also does not drive, so she counts on us to get to her appointments and when she needs to go fishing, hence the reason Duke was pulled to the river today, or to the lake today. But we don't mind. She's moments like that, you gotta try to cherish them a little bit. She can be a pain in the butt. Me and Duke have moments where we'll talk about her. But it's short-lived, and she did the best she could. If the urge to curl up don't win over first, yeah. I've had moments, even like when we moved, the confusion with the younger states of where they were. I literally had to have somebody explain to me in the middle of the night where we were. Moving was very hard on us. But in the long run, I'm glad, because it kind of like gave them a little bit of freedom to know that they could move, that it's okay to move, and we're in a safe place. My therapist constantly had to explain to me when I wasn't myself, because littles would start crying, basically saying, we don't know where we're at, whatnot. And my therapist would say, you moved. This is where you live now. It was such a strange process, but we managed to get through it. So I was thankful for that. My husband helped a lot with that too. I think the best part was knowing that my brother is next door. He probably hates the fact that we're neighbors, The thing is, he's got benefits of both worlds, John. He if he doesn't like what my mom cooked, he'll just sneak over here and have some chili or venison burgers. He's pretty spoiled. Roof wasn't leaking, it was condensation. But because the morons didn't put a vapor barrier in between. Yeah, be careful when hiring a contractor nowadays. There are some shady ones out there. Well, that was the thing. He told me he had a contract. The guy that did this, he told me he had a contract. Here to find out, he didn't. He said he was in the process after we hired him. And boy, it was a struggle between my mental health and my body. The stress was so much trying to do that move. But in the long run, I'm thankful. I mean, it turned out best it could, So, what, honey? Oh, big stretches. Oh, my goodness. Oh, you're doing your little squeaks? Huh? That was the one thing I liked living near my best friend. It's always good to have somebody. I think my favorite is when Duke is not in one of his cranky moods. We will get together. I like it when nobody's home. My husband sometimes leaves for days because he's got a big job that's over 2 hours away, and he works for a really, really big factory. And sometimes I just feel like I want company, so I'll call my brother and we'll binge watch classic 90s movies, have a really good meal, and hang out for a little while. I think those are my favorite times. I mean, my kids like to do that sometimes too, but they're getting older and they're kind of doing their own thing now. So, my oldest one likes to spend time with me. My teenager, mom's not cool, go away kind of deal, and she still has trouble with the DID a little bit. It's still kind of confusing to her. She doesn't understand it, and it's embarrassing for her. So it's something we got to work on. She's adjusting though, and as she gets older, she understands more now that it's not something that I can just control real well. And as I heal and get better, things seem to get better for all of us in the long run. So I'm almost done. Look at that. I got to do more coloring and shading, but that's all right. This was one thing I like. Okay, I was always correcting his. Yeah, and he gets so mad at you. Yeah, the contractor we had, he was kind of a bossy guy, and we'd correct something because we knew my father was a expert builder. My father built his barn, he built his house. Everything had to be perfectly angled, perfectly done. Being a Vietnam veteran, everything was perfectionism, and even stacking hay, right down to cleaning poop out of the mangers. Everything. My father had the cleanest barn in the county for 6 years. You could eat off the floor in the barn where we were. And so we knew what was done right and what wasn't. And we'd correct this guy and say, nope, that's not right. And one thing that upset me was the fact that they didn't put metal seams where the wire was running on the studs. And then when they hung the cupboards, they were using drywall screws instead of screws that were supposed to be being used. And my brother corrected him on that. And we had my cousin over helping as well, and he would mention something saying that ain't right either. And so, if my dad would have been alive, he'd have been he would have been turning some heads. My father was very particular in how things were to be built. My brother, not so much. My brother likes to build, but he's not a perfectionist. So, he has his moments where if something's just a little crooked, it won't bug him. It doesn't bother me. Yes. I have severe OCD where everything. Duke's a jerk sometimes. He'll come in my home to have dinner with us, and he'll turn my picture frames crooked, or he'll move something, magnets on my fridge, because I have to have everything symmetrical, aligned, perfect. And it's another one of my little quirky things that I do. And Duke will come in and mess with that just to get to me. That same amazing work. Yeah. Oh, that's some amazing work. Yeah, thank you. Example, using drywall screws to hang kitchen cat. Yeah, I knew you were going to get to that. I don't know. And then he's trying to sit there and say, oh, you could sit on these cupboards. They'd never fall off. Yeah, okay, dude. Yeah. It makes you wonder how many houses, you look at houses from like the early 1900s into the early 1800s that are still standing today, that are built with such structure and such strength. And then you see these newer homes today, and you wonder why they're falling apart in like 10, 20 years. Well, that's why. Because they don't put in the ability, to make them right. And when they built this house, I really wish they would have did 6-inch 2x4, or 2x. I wanted to have it done in 2x6s. They didn't want to do that. They wanted to do it in 2x4s, and I wish I would have fought that because I really wanted thicker walls. It seems like winters are very hard here. The other thing that upset me was the fact that my cabin it came in on semi trucks, and the 2 units were connected with a breezeway in the middle, and that shouldn't have been done that way. We had so much snow issues with that, and so me and my brother had to redo the roof and make it so the snow would quit falling in between the 2 units. Otherwise, I was, we'd have 5 inches of snow, and I was dealing with 2 feet of snow in the breezeway, and my back can't take that, So it was an effort. What a trickster. Yeah, he was something. Hi, Lanny. I was actually, there she is. I was actually talking about you, Lanny, a little while earlier. I said, I'm waiting for my friend Lanny to pop in. So, happy to see you on. Yeah, I'm painting my little butterfly, and I'm almost done with them with the orange. Anyway, now that you're here, let's talk about the book. So this is my book and a backstory behind that. So when I was 13, 14 years old, and I've told this story 4 or 5 times, but since you're here, I'm going to repeat it. I couldn't speak. I was traumatized, disassociative, and so my counselor at that point in time, during the court, when I was going through court with one of my abusers, she had come up with the theory of, can you write what happened, write about it, and that's what I did. And this piece here, I was, like I said, 13, 14 years old when I wrote this. It's about 10 pages, and it was typed up on an old computer with, you had to pounce your hand to get the ink. And this was the start of the book. And I still have this, and it's kind of cool to read it and look through it. The sad part is how my thought process has been changed due to therapy. Back then, I would talk about how it was my fault in this tiny little bit of pages, and how I loved my abuser and why did he do this, which was really sad and difficult to process. And later down the road, as therapy progressed, I had this book made, which was basically paper folded in half, and it was about 60-some pages, something like that. I don't know, let me look here. Maybe less than that. About 56 pages. And this was done in 2014. And this was talking about, PTSD and what I've been through somewhat, but I wasn't healed, so it wasn't going well. And I found out through therapy as time went on that if every time I'd have a memory come back, I'd write it down. I'd write the age of that alternative state, and I would capture the memories. And as time went on, it finally became this. So I'm really happy, and it feels good to have it written, because if something ever happens to me, my children will have this, and my husband will have this. And it's basically talks about our lives and what we've been through all the way up till now. And so the only thing I was disappointed in was the fact that it costs $25 a piece for these books, and the size. I wish it was more of a 5.5 by 8.25 size, which is a normal size book. So I got to look into that more, and I'm hoping to have more made. It'd be nice if I could get an editor too, but you're talking like $1,000 to have it edited. So there is some spelling errors and stuff. So it's not published, but I'm planning on trying to get it published eventually. So yeah, that's a little story behind that. And I'm painting while I'm talking about all sorts of things, and trying to finish the butterfly up. Pictures titled "That's Not Me," must be the borrowers, the little people. Yeah, Lanny, I'm here. Duke says, I was supposed to be turnkey, completed house. Yeah, the house was supposed to be turnkey, no problems. And poor Duke, he did all the plumbing. We had somebody come out and certify that it was up to code and sign the paperwork for that. And yeah, everything was such a mess, because my husband was supposed to have his hip surgery at that time, and we were rushing to get this house done. It had no electricity. It was like a week away from my husband's surgery, and we had to get toilets in, we had to get plumbing in, we had to get electricity in. It just, talk about, I don't even remember half of it. I was so stressed and so disassociative. I had quit smoking at the time, started back up again, because an altered state of my mind wanted a cigarette, and try to get quitting smoking without DID is a challenge. Imagine trying to quit smoking while you have 4 or 5 other alternative states in your head going, why can't I have a cigarette? It was a mess. I love the butterfly. Thank you for sharing with us. I try. I flubble up here and there, but that's awesome. I love you and proud of you. Talking about pain is hard. It is. I get better and better with it, though. I try to slow down when I speak. That helps some. Talking, I flub up a lot. So you said it costs, $25 a book. Well, it was $24.99, and then they add in like some, or I think it was like 23 something, and then they add in like the tax and stuff. But you are beautiful memories. Thank you. That's a hard one for me to accept sometimes, because I don't feel very beautiful. But Then you got the shingles too. Yeah. Then I ended up with shingles. Well, okay, so I was selling our old house. If I'll catch you up on the story, Lanny, we're talking about when I moved and I had built this house and did the blueprints and sold my old home. I needed to be out by May 28th, and I had ended up with early signs of shingles. And it wasn't just the regular shingles, because I had a rash on a little bit on my face and my arm. I couldn't breathe and I couldn't figure out why. And I went to the doctor here to find out I had internal shingles because of my autoimmunity. It was intensified. If I wouldn't have went in that day, I wouldn't be here today. That's how bad it hit. And they had put me on a penicillin or amoxicillin. They had me on all kinds of stuff. And I had to pack and move and get here. And oh, the stress was just horrible. So dealing with a mental illness and then a physical illness and then trying to reestablish a home and my husband having hip surgery and Duke was a saint. He helped me through all of that. I don't even know how I would have managed without him. He saved my life. It was horrible. His intelligence was needed. Then you got shingles. Oh no, yeah, it was. Well, I had Amish building the home, and the deal was, Lanny, the house was supposed to be turnkey, and it didn't end up being that. They showed up at the last minute with the 2 units empty, no plumbing, no nothing, and I was. Oh, you wouldn't want to have been around me. I'm surprised Duke lasted as well as he did. Technically, if I would have been a normal person, I probably, normal people would have sued. I'm not a sue happy person, and I just wanted my house built and I wanted to be left alone. And the amount of work and the problems I had, I was thankful it was taken care of, because I was stressed. We were very lucky how me and Duke were both smart enough to know how to build and reconstruct things. And it was so funny because the Amish were making fun of me. They actually called me what's the word? Not a Yunga. They knew I spoke a little bit of German, and they called me an old horse. They called me an old nag. And I can't remember the word now anymore because I don't speak German as much as I used to. But I knew what they said, and I was like, because they were whining about me being picky, and I'm like, I paid over 200 some thousand to have this house built, and they were calling me picky. And I blew up, and I just told them they need to fix this, and they did make it right after some talking and figuring. They made it right and they fixed it. But we had to fight nail to that. I'll be honest with you, if I could go back in time, I probably would have got a different company and had it built properly, a little bit different, because the way this is built, it's difficult to manage. So especially the breezeway where the snow gets trapped, it's difficult. It's hard on my back, and I've told my husband numerous times we might end up moving if we need to. I don't want to move because this is my father's land, but when we get old, what do? If you can't handle a place, you're gonna have to figure something out. So it's either we take these buildings out and start over, or a whole mess. Thanks, Duke Retro Farm. Yeah, Duke was really appreciative. He helped a lot. We were Gen X. We don't sue. We just fix it. Yeah. Can you imagine if Dad would have been alive? Oh my God, he would have. I think my father probably would have built my house for me if he would have still been alive. He loved to build and construct homes, and I had the blueprints done and everything. And I think I would have probably ended up with the original what I wanted. I'll be honest with you, Duke. I shouldn't have been so picky, and I should have let that guy that was going to do a regular cabin build do it. At the time, I was so set on a gambrel style roof, though, because it was something that my father liked. My father's first home that he had built was a gambrel, and that's what I wanted. I wanted that gambrel look. It's a Dutch look, basically, like a barn roof. And I was so hooked on having that. And now today I'm like, why was I was so picky? But I don't know, I had it set in my mind, if we're going to build a home, I want it done this way, And I know you understand, Lanny, because you're kind of in the process of working on that same issue, you know. So I can't imagine the cost of things nowadays, though. We were very lucky. We had it done before prices skyrocketed. You know, I had gotten all my wood flooring, the wood flooring you see here on the floor. I had gotten it fairly cheap because we had ordered it through Canada before the big fires had hit up there. That saved us a lot of money, and it's a very solid, thick floor. It was the roof that they failed at. I'm choosing finishes now. Oh, I can't wait to see your home, Lanny. I am so excited for you. It's nice to be able to go, okay, I'm able to retire. I'm able to enjoy life. I'll be free of the chaos, and I really hope it works out for you good. You don't need to move. I did the foundation, and that is better than code. Yeah, foundation is very well done, and the plumbing. You just push this building off and build better on the good foundation. Yeah, I've thought of that. I'm gonna go because partner brought home dinner. Okay. We're doing meatball subs. Have a great night, Eva and Duke, and congrats again on the book. Thank you, John. It is so nice to see you. Thank you for coming in and hanging out with us. You guys enjoy your food. So I'm going to be heading out here pretty soon, too, because I just finished all the orange. I got to do all the black and stuff yet, but I'll do that later. But it's going on 3 hours, and I should call it quits. And Duke probably wants to get ready for bed here pretty soon, and my oldest wants to chat about her date. So, but otherwise, yeah, if you have any questions, Lanny, or anything, let me know. And thank you. Yeah. And I think I'm probably going to call it quits. So I had fun, and I am really proud of this book, and I'll probably do a little small short video about it, just on my little stuff, you know, because I'm so happy about it, and I'm hoping eventually I can find a publisher. So, all right, guys. Well, you guys have a good night. Thanks for being with me, and this is what I got, just the talking. I got the orange. I got to do all the black yet and stuff, and I'll probably mess with that another time, but other than that, it was great to see you all, and I appreciate it. What the 10:30? Where the heck did this day go? I know. It went really. Mom took it. Mom made you go fishing. You probably lost time because of Mom. We love our mother. Oh, Duke. All right. Well, you let me know. I'll get a hold of you tomorrow. I don't think I'm doing anything tomorrow. I know the Amish guy that's going to be fixing my camper is supposed to get a hold of me with an estimate for the roof. The guy that we found, really nice guy, and I'll talk to you about that tomorrow. I'm thinking this is going to work out. So we'll talk more tomorrow on that. So, all right, everybody. You guys have a good night. Thank you for being here. And again, thank you for everything. You know, this channel means a lot to me, and the people that follow it. And hopefully life continues on. And thank you. So, all right, I'm gonna let everybody say bye-bye. So say goodnight, Misha. Misha says goodnight. Thank you for saying goodnight, Misha. She wants her dinner. Bye, y'all. Memories I used to know.